Hey everybody, I want to talk to you about our Branson 3520r and why we decided to get the Branson. We looked at a lot of different manufacturers, and you could imagine what they are. They're green, yellow, red, orange, all kinds of colors. But we had to consider what was best for what we were going to use for our market garden, for our vegetables, other things that you would do with a small piece of property, and something you might do to help somebody else out or whatnot, something like that. We went with Branson primarily because it filled all of our needs, and it did it a lot easier than most other manufacturers. There are limitations from other manufacturers. There's limitations with this machine, but overall this one fit our needs best. Because of that, we went with Branson. We decided on a 35 horsepower tractor because that was, in our criteria, that was about where we needed to be. We could have been up to 40 or 45 horsepower. When you get up in that range, you're talking about a lot more money, a lot bigger machine. This particular machine fit really good all the way around. And so, having said that, I'll tell you a little bit about the machine. This thing's 130 inches long overall, 67 inches wide is how wide this particular machine is. The top of the ROPS is 97 inches. The ground clearance for it is 12.7 inches. And with no loader on it, it weighs 4,053 pounds with no ballast at all. Now with the loader on it and the box blade, which is what I have on it now, it's probably somewhere around 4,700 pounds. With fuel and oil, that's probably what you get with a loader and a box blade. No ballast at all in the tires, no beet juice, no water, no antifreeze, nothing. It's got a 1.7 liter 3-cylinder naturally aspirated engine. It's not turbocharged. 35 horsepower at the motor, 29 at the PTO. Has a dry clutch with wet brakes. There's an advantage to wet brakes in the sense that they're protected and you don't have to worry about them becoming gummed up with dirt or rocks or anything like that. It does have a dry clutch, a 4-speed shift transmission with a 3-speed transfer case. So you've got 12 forward gears and 12 reverse gears. I've cut pastures in mid-range in 2nd or 3rd gear. With this particular tractor, I've cut grass that's pretty thick and 3-4 feet tall, and it's done just fine. I think over about an 8 or 9 hour period, I've went through about 10 gallons of fuel, and that's not bad. Another reason for this particular tractor is it has a passive DPF system. And so a lot of the tractors above 26 horsepower, I believe, in this country for several years now, they've had to have a DPF filter on it for the diesel particulate matter that's created in the combustion of diesel. Having said that, this particular one has a passive system on that. And so how that works is, as long as, this is the DPF filter right here. I know you probably can't see it, but it sits on top of the motor. But it's about the size of a muffler for a large truck. And I imagine they're very expensive. But as long as you keep the engine RPM around 2,000 RPM, it will not throw the DPF regen light on the dash. And if it does that, that probably means that your DPF filter is clogged, which you would have to take it to a dealer to get them to clean it out, which is probably going to be burning it out. And if you live far enough away from a dealer, or you don't have time, then it's a lot of a hassle. So it's pretty easy just to keep the thing going around 2,000 RPM. They make this particular one makes its power 35 around 2,600 RPM, and I rarely ever use it over 21 or 2,200 RPM. But having said that, the engine in this particular machine is designed by Cummins. It is manufactured to Cummins specifications by Cookji, who is the manufacturer of this tractor. Cookji, I believe, is owned now by TYM Tractor, and TYM, I believe, also owns Yanmar Tractor. And I could be wrong with that. These manufacturers with tractors, they share a lot of information. John Deere, Cummins, TYM, you name it, they've all shared information to help development for agriculture for various reasons. Having said that, they're all related one way or another. The engine is great. It has 97 hours on it right now. I'm about to do another oil change on it, which is not scheduled until 300 hours. But I'm going to do it early because I went with an oil that the dealership recommended to me, and I don't like the way that oil performs. I own a diesel truck. I've owned a diesel truck for several decades now, and if you've owned diesels, you know when something could be better when it comes to the engine oil or when it comes to the fuel. And so for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and change it. That's about 50 hours past the first time it was serviced, which was at 50 hours. So I'm going to do that today also. Get away from the engine, the features on the tractor, the transmission. It's got a 3-speed transfer case, 4-speed transmission, so you have your 12 forward, 12 reverse gears. Has an independent PTO. It has a 540 RPM and a 740 RPM range on the PTO. Your 3-point lift has an independent position lift selector on it. The hydraulics for the loader are pretty smooth. It could be a little bit better as far as speed. The hydraulic pump, I believe, on the loader is around 5 gallons per minute, maybe a little bit less than that. It could lift a lot faster in my opinion, but it does okay. The steering in this has another power steering pump that's independent of the pump that is for all of your hydraulics. The power steering's great on it. About the steering, this has a nice offset with the camber that makes you be able to turn a lot easier compared to tractors that don't have a positive offset. With this one, that makes it a lot easier to get around in tight spaces. In building our earth dam, I had to navigate about a 6-foot space and just catty corner dig off of a bank to get soil, and was able to dig off about 13, 14 feet to be able to turn almost completely around just by lifting the bucket. The engine in this runs smooth, the transmission runs smooth. The ability for this thing to get around is really, really good. I've had no issues with anything with it up to this point. It's not overheated, not once. This will be the first complete year that I've owned this particular tractor, and it works really well. I'm very pleased with it. I've worked it very hard, and with that amount of time on it in 1 year, in my opinion, it's done very, very well. For the price, to get an equivalent with the weight, to get an equivalent with the power, with the lift capacity, both in the bucket and the 3-point, if you go with a green tractor, you're somewhere around $40,000. It's not going to be quite 40, but it's going to be close to 40. To get a 38E, I think is what I looked at prior to getting this one. That particular tractor was well over 1,000 pounds less than this tractor, and I would have had to put ballast on it to even come close to the weight of this tractor. And that was just another investment you would have to go with. Overall, I don't think you can go wrong with any tractor manufacturer. If you are not good with maintenance, be willing to pay somebody to do that, because these machines need a lot of upkeep, and you can't abuse them. I don't think any diesel machine you can abuse without tearing it up. And so, having said that, I don't think you can go wrong with a Branson. I don't think you can go wrong with most any of them. But for the price, it's very, very hard to beat a Branson. I'll show you some of the locations of the controls on it, and we'll go from there. Okay, we're in the operator station right here, and so I'm going to go ahead and turn the switch on and show you where the four indicator lights I believe you need to pay attention to will be up here. So, key switch, you have your glow plug, your battery, your oil, the light that just went off. Let me turn this back on. This is your regen light right here. And over here on this side would be where your PTO is. And so whenever you're running and your PTO is active, it will actually be lit up. So over here on your right, where the lift control is, your PTO switch. And so you have two settings. You have auto, you push it, it goes off. You have independent. I typically run it in independent to keep stress less on the actual PTO shaft. The difference between the two is, in independent, your PTO never shuts off if you lift or lower the 3-point. But when you have it auto, when you lower your lift arms for the 3-point, then the PTO comes on. Whenever you lift it up, your PTO shuts off. And so with that, that's a little bit time consuming, and it's not something that I want to mess with. If I'm doing something where time is a big concern, I mostly just run it in independent. Down here, my right foot, that's your throttle. Your brakes, a left brake and a right brake. And then right here, so you can set it if you go out on the road, you just press on either one of them, it'll operate both brakes. Down here behind my heel, right here, this is for your differential lock. While we're there, your seat adjuster. Down here, you also, right here, you have the speed that your lift arms lift and go down on your PTO. Right here, your 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive selector. Right here, your PTO selector. You've got 540 economy, and then you've got 540 for higher RPM, basically. So the economy is for lower RPM use. So we'll go over here to the left. You have your transfer case selector, first, second, and third. Neutral is between second and third, and then your emergency brake right here. The emergency brake selector, to me, is a little bit too close to the seat. So with that would be something that I change on that. With the new model that came out this year, I believe it's the 3620. I haven't looked at it yet, but the 3620 has a 4-speed transfer case, and this one has a 3. But if I could do anything, I would move this over just a little bit, maybe just bend the lift arm, something like that. You've got a couple of cup holders here for water or whatever. I always keep some electrical tape in there just for something. You've got one grab rail over here. On the right side, you do not have a grab rail. You've got your position controller for your 3-point lift right here. And then the only other control over here is your hazard lights. Of course, your bucket operation right here. The mirrors are not standard. That mirror came off of a Harley. It just happened to fit. I broke the one mirror that it came with. I had those mirrors, and they're pretty much just for looks. So let's go to the back of the tractor. Also, very important, clutch. Very, very important, clutch. Okay, we're back here at the 3-point. What's really nice that I like back here is for your top link. Not all tractors have 3 different positions you can sit on. This is nice. Your protection for your PTO shaft is adjustable. It does have a drawbar on it. You've got an adjustable link on the right side, which is pretty common. Your link arms are adjustable, so that makes it a lot easier whenever you go to load your implement. These things operate pretty easy. This is locked right here. To unlock it, you would press it down, and you could slide it forward or back. The trailing arm for the links, they're adjustable. That's a very, very nice feature. They're really easy to use. These arms, when I first got the tractor, they had some paint problems with a couple of their parts. They ended up replacing them because the paint was flaking, probably because the base coat that was put on or the primer wasn't done correctly. This does not have extra hydraulic ports on the back. That is something that we're going to do in the future to maybe operate a backhoe, something like that, but that will mount right here. To fill your hydraulic fluid is right here, and you have your sight glass. Let's see if I can get in here. Your sight glass is right here. You can see it right there. That's your sight glass for the PTO, for your hydraulic fluid back here. So let's go to the front. Okay, up here at the front of the tractor, obviously, this is your diesel tank. I think it's around 10 gallons. Your alternator, I think it's 45 amps. This is your power steering hydraulic pump. This is the main hydraulic pump for all your other operations. Of course, your exhaust right here. This is your DPF filter right here. It does get very, very hot. It circulates air pretty well in the engine compartment. I've never really experienced a problem with it. Right here, your air filter. You pop these off. Then it's got 2 filaments. They're both dry filaments, air filter filaments. Pop this off. They come off pretty easy. I've actually modified this cover so that it will actually get more air inside of the air filter compartment. And when I get this off, that's the hole that I put in it. And I put one toward the back because it has a really small one right here in the front. I haven't had any problems since I've done that. It actually seems to run a little bit better. So I think that's something that most diesels struggle with. They're just giant air pumps anyway. All the air they can get just means they'll run a little bit smoother. With the air filter, there's two filter elements. Of course, this is the main one. The inner filter is right here. But both of these filters, they work pretty good. Haven't had any problems. I've not replaced either one of them yet. Right here on the radiator, you can remove the air filter housing pretty simply. And the reason why you want to remove it is because it lets you clean the screen on your front of your radiator. So you pick this little rubber gasket up, you remove this screen, and that screen right here, you can see it, typically gets clogged up with grass if you're cutting a field or whatever, and it protects your radiator from getting clogged up with grass, which will of course lead to overheating. So that's a nice feature. to have. I'm not sure if all tractors have that. I think most of them do. Your battery is located right here, and your windshield washer fluid, I'm kidding, that's not windshield washer fluid, that's coolant. And so come over here, you've actually got two places you can fill oil at. You can fill oil right here, then you can fill oil, see if I can get in there, right here where my hand is. There's another oil cap right there, and that's pretty difficult to get in there. I don't do that. I fill it on the side. Right here is your oil filter, and right here is your oil dipstick, which is kind of in an odd place, but I didn't make it. Anyway, so that's where that is. You have your fuel filter, which is located right there. So it's pretty easy when you go to replace everything. Everything's pretty much right there. The only other thing that you have that's in this compartment is your fuse box. And your fuse box is just above your oil filter right here. Beyond that, you have one more filter, and it's underneath the right side of the tractor. And this is your primary hydraulic filter right here. Pretty big filter, and it holds a little over 1.5 quarts of oil. It's in a really good spot. I've seen filters that are flipped the other direction, and I imagine they are pretty easy to get hung up on things, but this one seems to be pretty protected. Your hydraulic connections are just underneath the right step. It's all right here, which is a good place to put more ports for a third function if that's something you're interested in, which is something we are interested in. We haven't done that yet. Of course, that's another expense, but that's something that we're looking to do in the near future. So that wraps up my opinion and my review basically of this Branson 3520. I've got no complaints. I hope that we don't have any issues, but if we do, we'll just work through it like we do everything else. The only other thing I haven't mentioned is we went with a shuttle shift rather than a hydrostatic, simply because, in my opinion, I think that the shuttle shift is probably more durable, and I could be wrong. But I don't mind shifting gears. I don't mind pushing a clutch. I just have a hard time relying on the hydraulic fluid that you use to operate the transmission going forward and reverse is the same hydraulic fluid that you're going to use to operate the lifting abilities of the machine. I think that that's something that needs to be considered. When you operate these machines for a number of hours, you can feel the hydraulic components and feel the heat that is going through all these components. And that hydraulic fluid is also the hydraulic fluid that's operating your transmission to be able to function forward or reverse. And so in my opinion, that's the reason why we went with a shuttle shift rather than a hydrostatic. I think they have their place, just with me, not right now. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the video. I hope this helps you make a decision if you are considering buying a tractor. Look around at everything. Make a list of everything you would like to have in a tractor and consider everybody out there. In my opinion, the Branson is one of the best for the price point, also in the very top when considering the abilities and the capability of the machine. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you like our videos, this is the first one basically. If you like our videos, please subscribe to the channel and let us know what we could do to help you a little bit better to understand and learn some things. We're going to go through a lot of things on this channel. We'll learn mostly about everything that you can do outside of the home that you sleep in, and that is just about everything you could imagine. There's a lot out there. I've got a lot of experience doing a lot of things. I enjoy teaching people. I enjoy learning from people. I really enjoy watching people learn and succeed. That makes me very happy. But having said that, let us know. I appreciate your time. Have a good rest of the day or night, whatever it is.